Okay, 3 hours until the pay-per-view, and I'll apologize for not getting this video out any earlier today. I kind of ended up setting up some things, so needless to say, this is the earliest I could get it out. So hopefully the video will be available before the pay-per-view starts. I'm not really doing any concrete pay-per-view predictions on it, so not that big of a deal. Don't have time to go into housekeeping. Don't have time to talk about anything going on in my life. We'll just bring that up later. Let's go right into this. This is your NXT recap for this week. So Corey Graves starts the show, and after turning on his partner Adrian Neville, he has something to say. And obviously, the fans want an explanation, and he's going to give it to them. But he's not going to give it to him because he gets attacked by Adrian Neville. Neville pounds away, and they get in the ring. Graves kicks him in the chest. Neville's like, you... And he just jumps him, double legs him, starts pounding away. They separate momentarily. He gets nailed with the pescado on the floor. They separate him again, and this sets up your main event for the evening, the battle between the former tag team championship partners, Adrian Neville and Corey Graves. So that's going to kick off our show, and that match is going to end our NXT broadcast. So we start off the show with a Divas match between Emma and Sasha Banks. Of course, I enjoy these matches a lot more in NXT because I like the talent more in NXT. There's WWE Divas that definitely can go, but by and large, there are a lot more that can't. No offense, but just if they can, and I'm sure they can, they haven't really shown me very much yet. So there's always that. So we go BTLA, which is back to live action, which means it was on the Hulu commercial break, I guess you would say, if you would call it that. And we go back to live action. Sasha has a chin lock applied with the body scissors locked on as well. Emma bridges back, 1 count only. So goes back to the chin lock, and she tries to escape it, and Sasha turns it into a side headlock, and then finally back to the chin lock. So Emma with elbows to the kneecap on 2 separate occasions, and a back elbow, elbows out from the seated position. She comes off the ropes, Sasha catches her with a back elbow, makes a cover 1-2, and a kick out. So Emma slaps her in the face, Sasha's like, and just jumps her and starts pounding the daylights out of Emma. Vicious shots to the back, rolls her over 1-2, and Emma kicks out. So it goes back to that body scissors chin lock that she was using in the beginning of the contest, and in the middle of the contest, and when we started talking about this match, actually. So, a nice back elbow, Emma breaks it, and ducks the clothesline. Emma, 2 big clotheslines off the ropes. Whip in, reverse, charges in, misses into the dilemma, her version of the tarantula locked on, and she charges in, and Emma sandwich, which of course is the crossbody in the corner to a seated opponent. 1-2, and Sasha Banks kicks out. Catapult locked into the Emma lock, and Summer Rae jumps up on the ring apron for the distraction. This allows for Paige to hit the ringside area, pull Summer off the ring apron. This distraction allows Sasha Banks to roll up into the inside cradle, and Emma's shoulders are pinned to the canvas. 1, 2, 3, and Sasha Banks wins this matchup. Paige gets in the ring. She goes like she's going to clothesline, and Sasha ducks out of the way, and she clotheslines Emma and the BFFs powder, and that's the opening match on NXT. So, still the trickle-down effect of building towards Paige and Emma somewhere down the road. Of course, Emma's guaranteed the title opportunity, but she wants to take care of Sasha Banks and Summer Rae first. So, that's fine. I totally understand that. And you build the infighting between Paige and Emma with the missed clothesline and her nailing her on-again, off-again tag team partner. So, that was interesting. And once again, we build towards a match that is announced for later on in the show, Paige against Summer Rae for next week's NXT, which I'm looking forward to seeing because they definitely can go. And for those of you that think Summer Rae is just a pretty face, and yes, she is a pretty face, that's for sure, she definitely can go in the ring. And actually, it's funny because she is known for being the first lady of NXT. It's actually the nom de plume she gives herself. But when it comes down to it, she can go in the ring, and this week on Smackdown, which I'll be recapping after NXT, of course, per usual, out here on Pop, I can honestly say that the fans that have never seen her before outside of WWE are going to be in for quite a shock. But we'll talk about that as we get into our SmackDown recap. But we're going to finish NXT first. So we get a special segment that was on WWE.com talking from the perspective of the NXT champion, Bo Dallas. Bo Dallas has the creepiest smile known to man, because he just looks like he would just, jump you from behind quicker than anything else. He would sell his own mother for that championship, to be totally honest. And I like that. I like Bo Dallas. I'm getting more into Bo Dallas. I don't like the way he works, but I understand why he works the way he does. That makes any sense at all. I'm becoming a Bo-lever, if you understand what I'm saying there. So, slowly but surely, Bo Dallas is starting to be kind of like how Biggie Langston was when I first saw him in NXT. Kind of slowly growing on me, but time off, of course, is going to let him build in the back of my head. And when he returns, I'm going to be even more hyped for it. And, of course, his program with whomever ends up facing him for the NXT Championship. But we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. Bo is going to take a vacation. He's going to travel the world. And he's going to, in his own words, deliver 10,000 squirt guns to starving children in Bolivia. That made me laugh. He said it's going to be a blast. And he wants everyone to know that when he comes back, he'll be better than ever. And to all his fans out there, don't stop Bo leaving. So, Bo Dallas, awesome as usual. And he'll be off television for a while. And that means the NXT Championship probably will not be defended in the next 4 weeks of tapings that they did. Obviously, I don't read NXT spoilers because I like to actually know what I'm going into. So it's more of a fresh thought in my mind. And obviously, if I knew what was going on, I could prepare myself for it. I mean, that also would make it sound better, I guess. But this is more see it for the first time and then just react to it on top of that. It's kind of like what I'm going to be doing with Hell in a Cell in about 3 hours. I'm going to watch the pay-per-view, and then right after it's over, I'm going to take my probably 4 or 5 pages of notes, and I'm going to recap the pay-per-view for everyone on this channel, put it up on Monday. So that's how it works. So we get a squash match with Marin and Taylor against the Ascension. This, like I said, complete a domination from the NXT Tag Team Champions as Connor O'Brien and Rick Victor just demolished these two ham and eggers. And 3 big shoulder blocks by Connor O'Brien on Marin, tagging to Rick Victor, and he knocks Taylor off the apron, tag back into Connor O'Brien. They pick him up and double elevator down, finish him off with a fall of man, and that's the end. So, remember how I talked about last week, and I've probably talked about a lot more than that, about bringing a credible WWE tag team to work with the Ascension. Since you don't really have a babyface team that you can put against the Ascension. Obviously, I was bringing up Xavier Woods and Mojo Rawley, if I'd put those two together, if I had to book NXT. But I talked about the perfect team to bring into this, honestly, would be the Usos. But the Usos are kind of just involved with the WWE Tag Team titles right now. They're doing the 3-way tonight with the Rhodes Warriors and the Shield. So needless to say, they're kind of off limits. You're not going to use a team like 3-Man Band. You need a babyface team. And there's 2 options. Number 1 would be Tons of Funk. Tons of Funk have already shown up on NXT before. Problem with this is now Tensai is a part-time commentator for the NXT broadcast team, which means it was probably a better idea to do this, but the thing about it is you might not be able to do that if he's going to be on commentary. But like I said, part-time commentator, so he could maybe just not work that taping, and it would make sense. He'd not do commentary for that taping, he'd do commentary for the next taping, do Regal and Alex Riley, and we could just be good to go. And I think that Tons of Funk work really well against the Ascension because both Brodus Clay and Tensai really match up really well with Connor O'Brien, and there's not many people that can. Of course, another option would definitely be, if you want to talk about NXT tag teams, it would be Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, but they really haven't been pushed heavy enough as that team that could be viable tag team contenders. So, until that happens, and I don't think that's going to happen until the feud with the Legionnaires is over, and I don't think it ended while I was gone. I think they're still feuding. we'll see. Obviously, I missed a lot of action when I was home this year, and I'm going to miss a lot more because, like I said, I go home in less than 40 days now, so yeah, I won't be recapping NXT Smackdown Raw, or I actually am going to miss TLC, to be totally honest, so I'm sorry about that, but that's the break sometimes. That's what happens with vacation, folks. So, like I said, the Ascension should be facing Tons of Funk. That would be a great idea. I think it's a great idea. They both match up really well. And Tensai especially would have an awesome power game against Connor O'Brien. And they both could go with Rick Victor, who could bump around like a pinball. The problem is, like I said, Tensai's on the broadcast team, but I have a way to solve that. The team I'm thinking about going to NXT to work with the Ascension are the Primetime Players. You've got Titus O'Neil, big monster guy, definitely about the same size of Connor O'Brien, and he could definitely go with him. And Darren Young can work with Rick Victor, and vice versa. So I would send the Primetime Players, who have nothing to do on television at this moment, to NXT to work them against the Ascension. I don't think you put the titles on the Primetime Players. I mean, you can. It would maybe give more value to the NXT Tag Team Championships, even though they do have a lot of value as is. But when it comes down to it, it makes more sense for the Ascension to get over by beating a credible WWE tag team. And since I can't put the Usos in NXT because they're embroiled in the feud, and I can't bring the Real Americans back to NXT because they're not necessarily baby faces, I guess they kind of are in NXT. I mean, you could have there's a kind of a chance that you could bring the Wyatt family in, since their send-off from NXT, they were solid baby faces. But no, I wouldn't go in that direction. I would say bring the Primetime Players to NXT to work them with the Ascension, and we'd stop these matches that we see week after week on NXT with the Ham and Eggers getting destroyed by the Tag Team Champions. So if you want to put a storyline on it, I would say you can do this for the next couple of weeks, have the Ascension keep just demolishing jobbers, and then eventually Titus and Darren make the save, and boom, we got ourselves a match, and we got ourselves a little bit of a program to take us into 2014. Because obviously, the NXT tapings for the next 4 weeks, and I believe the next 8 weeks are already in the books now. So the tapings that are going to be in like November or December, I would say you would use that time to take us into the Primetime Players against the Ascension for the NXT Tag Team Championships. I think it's a good idea, and Primetime Players are not going to do anything right now in the company, because obviously the tag titles are around the waists of the Rhodes Warriors, and they're feuding with the Shield, and of course they're feuding with the Usos. So, and then you have the Real Americans and Los Matadores off in the background. So the tag team division is pretty solid right now. So what better time to bring down the Tons of Funk or bring down the Primetime Players to work with the Ascension? I think it's a brilliant booking idea. I think it makes them a lot more credible if they go over established tag teams that people, not just the NXT crowd at Full Sail, but actual wrestling fans that watch the show that don't know anything about the live reactions that they're seeing on their television screens, or their computer screens in this case. I would think that that would be a great idea to bring the Ascension to a greatness in their reign with going against the Primetime Players and the Tons of Funk. So that's what I would do. That's, like I said, that's just armchair booking, Suro and Disney style. So, hey, I was a booker before. I got it right. So we get our next match, Alexander Rusev without Scott Dawson or Sylvester Lafort, so representing the Legionnaires by himself. He's facing off against CJ Parker, who still the crowd is completely sour on. They were booing CJ Parker, and CJ Parker is put out to be the babyface, especially in his feud with Tyler Breeze, but we'll talk about that as we progress, because obviously there's a storyline progression after this match is over. This match is a straight-up squash. Alexander Rusev just beats the tar out of CJ Parker. So, he hits the falling headbutt, whips him off the ropes, hits the Vader attack. He charges into Parker in the corner, and then he locks on his version of the camel clutch, which he calls the accolade, and there's the tap out, so CJ Parker loses. Now, during this match, there is a mysterious blonde in a red dress that comes to ringside, and even though you're like, oh, and you're completely being a hypocrite by knowing who this person is, and I'm like, no, I'm just trying to get this over. So you guys and girls out there that watch this that don't have any clue what I'm talking about can be a little bit more well-informed. So I will tell you who this person is, even though it has not been revealed on television. This person is Lana, who is the former CJ Perry, who actually, anybody out there that watched movies in the last couple of years would know her from the movie Pitch Perfect, the Anna Kendrick flick from 2012. And she was a Bart and Bella in the opening scene, and she also was a member of the Footnotes as well. So this actress turned worker is now in WWE and NXT, and she is going to be leading the career of Alexander Rusev, and I'm guessing she is going to be the secret weapon of the Legionnaires. She doesn't look like she's a worker. She looks like she's more of a valet, at least at this moment. That may change, because obviously in WWE, especially, valets do have to work from time to time. So I think that she ended up getting in the ring eventually, but right now she's just a valet, and this will play out for the next 4 weeks of NXT tapings. This is the first of the 4 weeks, and then of course next week, the week after that, taking us into way into November, towards the end of November actually, before we start getting the NXT tapings that have just filmed over with. So should work pretty well, and of course after the match is over, they're showing the recap of the finish, and Tyler Breeze attacks and steals back his cell phone. Of course, after the match a couple weeks ago, CJ Parker took it from him, and you know, the 50 million selfies on there, he was taking goofy pictures of himself as well, and he thought that was really funny. Tyler Breeze made him pay, laid him out with the spinning heel kick, which I've been calling the photogenic. Apparently, WWE decided to take another name for it, to call it the beauty shot, and I'm not exactly sure I like that right now, to be totally honest. I'm not just saying that because I came up with something else. I'm saying that because I don't really like the way it sounds. It doesn't really quite gel very well. It doesn't kind of stir the Kool-Aid, or the Crystal Light in this case. So after the match is over, he takes some scissors and he Brutus beefcakes CJ Parker. What do I mean by that? He takes the green and orange dreadlocks from CJ Parker and snips them. So the fans pop for this. And this builds to a match that we're going to get next week on NXT, CJ Parker against Tyler Breeze. And we're building to a real hardcore gimmick match between these two to finish this feud. But I don't know exactly how you would do it. I guess you could do hair versus hair. You could do Tyler's ponytail versus CJ Parker's dreadlocks. You could do that if you really wanted to. But I think this is a short program. It's not going to be a long-form program. And I know Tyler Breeze is probably going to come out on top at the end of this. Because CJ Parker right now is kind of on a downslope. And the fans aren't buying into him. It's not really feasible to turn a hippie into a heel. So unless he starts force-feeding like vegan beliefs on people, that's the only way I could think of that you could really do it. Maybe he did a little too much happy medicine and he's flipped out and now he's insane. We can do it that way. If you want to turn CJ Parker into a maniac, we can do that. But I don't think they're going to invest the time to do just that. So, because of this, and you're not going to turn Tyler Breeze babyface either, at least not in the current version of Tyler Breeze's gimmick. You can't really turn him babyface. I mean, you can, but it's going to be a lot harder, to be totally honest. And it's kind of like, it's weird because he kind of would be a babyface like Dolph Ziggler is. Still playing a heel, but he's still booked as a babyface. So, I mean, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So, yeah, that's what we get next week. So, we get our main event of the evening. A good main event, actually, between Corey Graves and Adrian Neville. And we go back to the finish of the match like I like to do here. Headbutt on Neville. And he goes for a shin breaker, which he did earlier on in the match. Of course, he was working the knee the entire duration of the match. He pretty much just pinpointed the knee and worked it the entire match. Well, he goes for the shin breaker the second time. And he gets countered to a sunset flip from Neville. And he basically does a spinning toe hold and just drops all of his weight on the kneecap. Makes a cover, 1-2, Neville kicks out. So he pretty much has his legs barred kind of like a ring post figure four, kind of like a standing figure four. And he grapevines it, pulls up on the knee to add more pressure to the knee. And Neville elbows his way out. Graves hits a knee lift, and he sends him off the ropes. Neville comes off with a flying forearm, or as much as he can since he's working on one knee. He charges in with a forearm in the corner. He goes up top. preferably for the Red Arrow if I had to guess. Graves reaches his feet, so he dives off the top rope, leaping over the top of Corey Graves, lands on his bad knee, and of course when he lands, he hits a standing version of a La Magistral Cradle, which looked awesome. And when Graves gets back up, he does that diving clip to the knee, locks his former tag team partner in Lucky 13, and Neville is forced to tap out. After the match is over, and Neville's about to go to the back, Graves jumps him from behind, locks on Lucky 13 on the floor, and that's the go-home for this show. So, interesting show here. Setting up another thing that I didn't talk about during the show. JBL, of course, is the interim general manager because while I was gone, Dusty Rhodes got fired. Obviously. It's what's best for business. Anyway, I don't want to hear that ever again after 2014. After 2013 is over, trust me. I don't want to hear it anymore after 2013 is over. I do not want to hear the phrase, what's best for business, or the best thing for business, ever again. I really don't. I'm sick and tired of hearing this horrid phrase every single week. I'm straight edge, but I'm already ready to start doing a drinking game for it. Now, I'm sure all of you out there probably know exactly what I'm talking about. So like I said, you have Emma and Paige, both baby faces. They're leading towards a collision via just like, obviously you do the accidental attacks and the accidental clothesline, building towards it. Then you have Summer Rae and Sasha Banks laughing off in the corner like the mean girls they are, watching their plan come to fruition. And that's exactly what we're going to get into. So Paige and Summer Rae is next week. So that's going to be awesome because they had an amazing feud over the last summer. Really awesome, led to the NXT Women's Championship, which of course Paige currently holds. And probably will hold for quite a while, if I had to guess, until she is brought up to the main roster. That's pretty much what I'm thinking on this. So, Sasha Banks beats Emma. And storyline progression, like I said, Paige and Emma is going to end up happening down the road. And the Ascension squash some more jobbers. And like I said, bring in the primetime players or Tons of Funk. If anything, like I said earlier, if you want to do Tons of Funk against the Ascension, what I would have is Tensai on commentary during one of these matches. And when they destroyed one of the jobbers and they just beat him down, like, even do a stretcher job if you want to do that, to be totally honest. That would work too. If you beat him down to where he's unable to defend himself, or his partner's unable to defend himself, or vice versa. Then you have Tensai right now who's like, I've had enough of this. I'm tired of seeing this week after week. You take advantage of these young guys trying to get their start in this business, and I'm fed up. So we're going to take care of it once and for all. You can't push me around like I can push them around. So why don't you step up to me, and I'll bring my tag team partner in, and you put those tag team titles on the line, and we'll have ourselves a match. That's how you book Tons of Funk against the Ascension, and that's a brilliant idea. So, Alexander Rusev squashes CJ Parker. It is the official debut of Lana, and of course we'll see more from her in the weeks to come. Sylvester Lafort and Scott Dawson not at ringside for the match. I'm sure they'll show up sooner rather than later. And Corey Graves defeats his former tag team partner, Adrian Neville. And this feud is probably far from over as well. But another thing about this that I did not bring up is, like I said, JBL is the interim general manager. And after last week, when Sami Zayn had the NXT Championship in his grasp, and it was taken away because the referee saw the foot on the bottom rope, JBL restarted the match, said, I'm not going to let the era of the wrestling god start on a controversy. How appropriate. So, the match restarted. Bo Dallas ended up beating Sami Zayn. But, of course, Sami Zayn is very agitated given the fact that they restarted the match for that, but they did nothing about restarting the match when Sami Zayn got pushed into an exposed turnbuckle, and that's how Bo Dallas retained the championship. So, of course, he has some things to say, and he's like, I understand how Daniel Bryan feels now. And basically, he was building toward the fact that what's best for business, obviously, is screwing over someone who deserves an opportunity. So JBL does an interview with Renee Young and makes fun of the fact that she's wearing a tank top pretty much during the promo. She's not, but it's kind of a low-cut top, to be totally honest. Like, put a shirt on, put something over that. Anyway, he basically says that Sami Zayn was out of line, and effective immediately, he's being taken off the program until we deem it correct timing to bring him back. So Sami Zayn will not be seen on NXT for the foreseeable future. You have Adrian Neville down right now. Probably going to sell the knee, if I guess, for a week or two, if I had to guess. So you have a big gap right now, and I got one word for you to fill this gap. Oh no. Yes, Cassius Ohno needs to be the person to fill this gap. He can come in and he can get the upper main event push into main event push that everybody thought he was going to get from the first place, and of course they kind of soured on him a bit. But I think he's kind of grounded a little bit more than he was. So I'm thinking that that may be the right direction to go. If that is the right direction to go, I think we start it soon. And eventually we do Dallas and Ohno down the road. But then again, a lot of people are saying, oh, and they're not willing to push Ohno right now. Well, that may be true, but it may be the right thing to do, especially with a top babyface like Sami Zayn out for the foreseeable future, and Adrian Neville kind of wrapped up in a feud with his former tag team partner, Corey Graves. So, got to do something to ignite the next several weeks of tapings, and while Bo Dallas is off television, you have to do something to build. And what I would do at this point is I would create a mid-card championship. I would create maybe the NXT North American Championship. Or, you know, honestly, if you really want to go this direction, how about the NXT Florida Championship? Because everyone knows NXT films most of their shows, all their NXT tapings are at Full Sail University, outside of Orlando. And I think that may be a good idea. Bring the Florida Championship. That could be your mid-card championship, so people like Tyler Breeze would have something to do. Other than just feuding, they actually would be working towards a championship. Not necessarily the NXT Championship yet, but a secondary championship. If anything is needed right now in NXT, it is a secondary championship. Otherwise, I've got no problems, and NXT is great week after week, so good show. Let's talk SmackDown, shall we? So Michael Cole starts the show off. He brings Triple H to the ring. Triple H said the Big Show's actions cost 6 people their jobs. And he just wanted to look like some kind of hero. So, like the heroes usually do, when their backs are against the wall, he decided to file a lawsuit. So, pretty much Jerry McDevitt just said, no, don't talk about the Big Show anymore. The legalities, no, not a good idea. So we can give no further comment on the Big Show. Just like his career for the last couple of years, he's simply irrelevant. So Michael Cole presses the topic, and Triple H is like, Michael, no, I'm not going to talk about it. So he switches gears to talk about the return of John Cena. Yay! And Triple H, of course, waxes poetic and says, you know what, I can't wait for the return of John Cena. And it's going to be awesome to see him back in the ring again. Of course, the fans are kind of lukewarm to this, unless you're a child or a woman. No offense. But that seems to be Cena's main fan base. I don't mind Cena, but yeah, it's a little too early for him to come back, to be totally honest. We'll talk about that later. The WWE fans unanimously, via the WWE app, chose Shawn Michaels as the special guest referee inside of Hell in a Cell in about 2 hours and 45 minutes in the match with Daniel Bryan against Randy Orton. Since the WWE Championship has been held in abeyance for several weeks now, almost a couple months to be totally honest. So he makes a guarantee there's going to be a new WWE Champion. Triple H is absolutely thrilled with this because he wants a definitive champion crowned. The Cell has a way of destroying a man's confidence. And Michael Cole said, you know what, you and Shawn seem to disagree on a couple of things. And Triple H's like, yeah, we've been best friends so long, over 20 years, but when it comes down to it, we do disagree from time to time. But what we don't disagree on and what we're on the same page about is the fact that we are both willing to do what's right. That's our similar belief that we share. Daniel Bryan comes out. What's that? Well, the right thing to do is to settle this once and for all. No one can get in and out of the Hell in a Cell. Yeah, we've seen that before. There must be a winner this time. Shawn won't favor me. He won't favor Randy Orton, who's going to do it straight down the middle. He'll do the right thing for business. I'm going to simply prove you wrong, and when I do just that, I'm going to become the new WWE Champion and the new face of the WWE. He smiles, starts chanting yes. Music kicks in, fans are going at it, and then all of a sudden, music stops. He gets right up at Triple H's face and chants yes at him. So, great way to open the show. Kind of sold the pay-per-view pretty well, to be totally honest. But a lot of shine for Bryan on this show, but we'll talk about that as we progress. And we all know what that usually means for the pay-per-view. But I'll get to that later on. We get our opening match of the evening. It is a tag team match, of course. Jimmy and Jey Uso taking on Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, representing the Wyatt family. Short match, but Wyatt showed some dominance in this match. And Harper ends up nailing Jey with the Michinoku driver. Jimmy makes a save at 2, and this was a really awkward timing on the spot. Now, the timing that I would say the spot was supposed to be is duck the clothesline, tag Jimmy Uso. That's what makes the most sense. Jey goes for the clothesline. He whips over the head of Luke Harper so much that Harper doesn't even sell it because it just blows all minds right there. He's just like, whoa. It's like, puts his arm over his head and is like, it's not even a clothesline, just kind of like, I swung over your head, and it's like, what? And nothing. Tags in Jimmy Uso with some miscommunication right there. He goes up top, he hits the Patriot shoulder block, and of course he punches Rowan off the apron. Harper charges in, and he misses it, hits the corner, side kick to the ribs from Jimmy Uso, and ducks the clothesline, catches him, and a Samoan drop off the ropes. Nails the Rikishi-style running butt bump in the corner. Rowan makes the save. Jey comes in, they toss Rowan to the floor. They double backdrop Luke over the top rope to the floor, and leaping over the top rope with Uso, nails, and of course, he charges in for the second time. Harper nails him with a forearm. Big boot on the floor. Bray Wyatt stands up, and of course, The Miz jumps up. He's on commentary, like I forgot to mention. He attacks Bray Wyatt, nails him with the Yakuza kick, and he pounds away momentarily. Bray gives chase, and Rowan ends up chasing The Miz to the back. This allows for Harper to get set up in the ring. Double super kick by the Usos, and 1, 2, 3. So, okay. Usos obviously had to go over in this match, given the fact that they are challenging for the Tag Team Championships tonight. So, it makes sense that they would win. And the Wyatt family do not look weak in this match at all. They looked really dominant in this match until the Usos kind of fluked into the win. I don't have a problem with that booking because you have to continually build the Wyatt family if you're going to make them a viable contender somewhere down the road. Obviously, the time's not right now, but the time will come eventually that you're going to have to put them towards some sort of a direction, not just attacking people randomly. So, that was our opening match of the evening. Our next match is a Divas match, and it is AJ Lee taking on Nikki Bella. And after seeing Nikki return on Raw, it was really nice to see her in this match. It made the perfect booking sense to put AJ up against the other Bella twin. It made total sense. And this is, of course, still building towards Brie and AJ's match tonight at Hell in a Cell. So, Nikki with a Luthez press, pounds away. AJ powders to the floor. Nikki gets nailed with a neck snap across the top rope, chokes her on the middle rope. She nails her Hangman's neck breaker, 1, 2, and a kick out, locks on the rear naked choke, and Nikki elbows out of it, puts her on the back, does AJ jumps on her back, and of course, she rams her into the turnbuckle, breaking the hold. Nikki with 2 big clotheslines and a back elbow, big drop kick, and a hair mare into the corner. She goes for a baseball slide drop kick. AJ out of the way, of course, she tweaks her injury that she had recently with the shin injury that kept her out for so long. And Tamina takes this time to boot Brie in the midsection and toss her shoulder first into the steps. This allows for Nikki to get locked in the Black Widow, and there's a submission. A lot going on in this match. Excuse me. AJ winning in this match made sense. Brie getting attacked in this match made sense. Because you want to build sympathy for Brie going into the match. And to be totally honest, if she is favoring the arm, or if she's wearing, like, I can't say a cast, but like if she has the arm taped up to show more sympathy for her tonight, I would not be a tad bit surprised, to be totally honest. So, like I said, this is the right thing to do because we're building towards AJ against the opposite Bella, Brie, tonight. So she had to take out Nikki. So Nikki would necessarily be a factor going into the match tonight. But here's the segment that was interesting. So we get Bray Wyatt in the back, and he says, I got something to show you. follow me. Come on this way, follow me. So they're following Bray Wyatt in the darkness. That's a smart thing to do. And he says, are you ready? Are you ready? He reveals that The Miz is unconscious, chained to a chain link fence in the back somewhere, and he has his shirt ripped open with the word liar across his chest. Now, on the internet, I read something a little bit ago that said this is a segment that suffered from the need of blood. I totally agree. This should have been blood involved in this. Miz should have been bloody, beaten with liar across his chest. So that's what I would have done, to be totally honest. You really need to sell blood for this match. But we'll see. So Wyatt stands there with The Miz also is wearing Eric Rowan's sheep mask. And they pull it off, and it's like, poor Miz, I tried to warn him, but I fear now he will truly understand what it means to follow the buzzards. So, still building towards that match I've been talking about for weeks, I've been calling for weeks, Miz against Bray Wyatt, and if it does not happen tonight, and it still could happen tonight because, surprise, surprise, something that was made abundantly clear on Twitter about an hour ago, actually, to tell you when I'm filming this video, almost 5:30, and I'm really late, sorry about that. Hopefully this video will be up by the time the pay-per-view starts. The Intercontinental title match between Curtis Axel and Biggie Langston has been canceled for tonight, so there will not be a new Intercontinental Champion crowned at Hell in a Cell, or a retaining, that's the word I'm looking for, a retaining of the championship by Curtis Axel at Hell in a Cell. So that means Axel will most likely not be on the show, to be totally honest. And I don't know if this is a legitimate injury or if it's a kayfabe injury. Could go either way. I would say probably legitimate injury, or maybe they just didn't know what to do with it. If you have this time on the kickoff that starts in about an hour and a half, I would put The Miz and Bray Wyatt on this pay-per-view. You have built it up and built it up and built it up and built it up over the weeks and did a tremendous build for it. Bray can go. He has been cleared to wrestle. You do this crazy, like, horror movie style stunt, this attack on Miz on SmackDown. And this is how you build and build and build and build, and eventually you have to build to a conclusion. The conclusion is the match. Now, I said if you're not ready to do Miz and Bray Wyatt tonight, I would do Miz against Harper, Miz against Rowan. The thing about it is, if the Miz is going to sell his injury from SmackDown, we don't know if it's an injury, it just got knocked out, I would say you couldn't do this match tonight. But I still think it's possible that you do, given the fact that you don't have any match on the kickoff now. Unless they move something else to it, which I think they could. I mean, Los Matadores and Real Americans, that looks like a pay-per-view kickoff match. So, I mean, who knows? I guess we'll find out sooner rather than later, and we'll lead towards Miz and Bray Wyatt in the very near future, if not as early as tomorrow night in Home Sweet Home, Orlando, for Raw. So, we'll see what happens. Speaking of Los Matadores, we get a match with a three-man band, because they can't work anybody else except for three-man band, except for the SmackDown we went to when they worked Ricardo Rodriguez and Tyson Kidd under hoods. This, of course, they had to get a win, given the fact that they're going into the pay-per-view match tonight against the Real Americans. I want to blow this off as quick as possible. I like Primo and Epico, and I even like Masquerita Dorada, but I'm not sold on Los Matadores at all. I mean, it can be extremely offensive. I don't think it's funny. Their work has actually improved a little bit, but I don't really know the direction they're going with this. I end this soon, and I mean, if it was me, I would just, obviously they're investing time and effort into pushing Los Matadores. Even if anything, they're getting El Torito over more than anything, because he's the only one that seems to be over. So, but that's how the fans work. Crowd's kind of dead tonight, to be totally honest, at least the SmackDown crowd that I'm talking about right now in this review. So, I'd end this quick, have the Real Americans just squash Los Matadores and then move on. But they're not going to do that, obviously. Los Matadores will go over tonight, but we'll talk about that when I give you predictions at the end of the show. So, It's just like a formulaic tag team match like it is normally. And, of course, they had the double chop on Heath Slater. 2 separate occasions. Backdrop suplex lands on his feet. Fernando leaps over, and they nail their new finisher, which is a flatliner into a facebuster. Facebuster from one, flatliner from the other, and that's the finish. So Jinder Mahal gets in the ring, he charges in, he gets gored by El Torito, and that's all she wrote. But it isn't, because the last thing that happens to Jinder is he gets nailed with an acai moonsault from El Torito. Awesome. Awesome way to end this. So, build, if anything, towards the match tonight. Obviously, Zeb Coulter comes out after the match, berates Los Matadores, setting up the match for tonight. It's really hastily thrown together. Like, it was kind of a last-minute decision to put this on the pay-per-view tonight. But sometimes his matches are the best. I guess we'll see what happens tonight. I don't really have much hope. Well, okay, I can't say I don't have much hope for the match, because the 4 guys actually in the ring can go, so it's going to be entertaining to watch, but I'm still not sold on Los Matadores. WWE, please sell me on that. Speaking of things I wasn't sold on for a long time, Ryback, of course, is teaming with Paul Heyman to face CM Punk tonight inside the Hell in a Cell. But we're going to get a preview match as they're going to face off in a no disqualification match against someone. This person ends up being a guy who has a white streak down his head, who's wearing Punk's gear, Punk's shirt, doing Punk's mannerisms, and they're calling him CM Skunk. Now, Chikara did this back in the day with CM... excuse me. Actually, Chikara did this back in the day with, I believe it was the Necro Butcher, if I remember correctly. I think the Necro Butcher was the one under the mask. Let me check to make sure. I may be wrong on this. Where are you? Obviously, my Chikara knowledge is not as spot on as it should be, so let me make sure. Yeah, I was right. Okay. It was Necro Butcher, I was right. Just making sure. Necro Butcher did a gimmick in Chikara called CM Monk. It was a chipmunk dressed up like CM Punk, had the Pepsi tattoo and everything. And of course, Joker from CZW, he did Colt Cabana instead of Colt Cabana. It was a really nice gimmick they did. Anyway, this person was CM Skunk, and he just got absolutely obliterated by Ryback. He starts the match off, straight right hand, kicks the hamstring. Ryback's like, this is over. Picks him up, rams him into the buckle, goes to the opposite corner, rams him into the buckle, then the powerbomb, and then the deadlift powerbomb. And Heyman's tagged in. He goes underneath the ring, grabs a Singapore cane, and he canes CM Skunk 19 times. I know because I counted. He's fed up. He said Ryback finish him off. He nails the meat hook, shell shock, and Heyman gets the Jericho pin with the foot on the chest, and 1, 2, 3. Incidentally, if you were not sure about who this person was, CM Skunk, in this case, was played by a local independent wrestler named Danny Todd. So there's always that. Kind of like how Asylum was the doctor of Paul Heyman on Raw several weeks ago. So way longer than several weeks ago, a couple months ago, actually. So Punk's, of course, injured at this point. Don't know exactly how severe the injury is. And Punk obviously is not going to work on this SmackDown with an injury. So we obviously don't want to put the pay-per-view match in jeopardy. So Punk doesn't work this show. So Punk doesn't really get anything on this show, which makes me unsure what's going to happen on the show tonight. I will say that what I'm hearing is Punk's injury may end up changing what would have been the prospective finish of the match. I will also say that, far as I know, which could be a complete and total work, you never know, the feud with Paul Heyman versus CM Punk will continue. And the only way for it to continue is for Punk not to win again tonight. But we'll talk about that. as we go into the end of the show. Alberto Del Rio comes out on the ramp for a promo basically saying that he's a real superhero. He's a real-life Mexican superhero. The Latin people, the Mexican people, all love Alberto Del Rio. He doesn't love all of them, just the ones that support him. He says John Cena isn't ready to get in the ring with the World Heavyweight Champion. He says he's not ready to face Alberto Del Rio. He's going to put Cena in the cross-arm breaker, and he's never going to let go. And he basically says that everyone can kiss his, and he doesn't say anything else, he just winks. Which was the kiss of death for Josh Matthews a couple weeks ago on Smackdown. So, yeah. Still build Alberto Del Rio, and this whole thing, the only thing that comes to mind is where is Damien Sandow? Fueling the fire, furthermore, that Sandow will show up tonight to bring a briefcase, if you know what I mean. So, we'll talk about that. So, we get Fandango taking on Great Khali. Okay. Khali, of course, flanked by the Oddities 2K13, which are Hornswoggle and, unfortunately, Natty Neidhart, which I'm not saying unfortunately because I'm a very big fan of hers, but I really wish she can get away from these guys and manage someone better. Ding! I got an idea. How about she manages Tyson Kidd? Her and TJ together against Fandango and Summer Rae. It's got Gold, Jerry Gold, written all over it. But, of course, I'm not a booker, I'm not a WWE booker, so you can take that or leave that. I think it's a brilliant idea, but we'll talk about it later. So, Fandango and Khali goes exactly like you think it would. Fandango bumps like a pinball for Khali. Overhand right, overhand chop, you know the normal steez. And Fandango ends up getting his kick to the side of the head, and he pounds away in the corner. He charges in, Khali gets up the elbow, sort of, and then he charges in again. Khali gets the boot up. 2 clotheslines. Summer Rae gets on the apron for a distraction, kind of like she did on NXT. And just like on NXT, she is stopped, this time by Natty. This allows, of course, before this happens, Fandango clips out the knee of Khali. Summer Rae gets up in Natty's face, slaps her square across the face, and chases her around the ring, chases her into the ring, double leg, and they go at it for a moment, and Fandango separates them, and of course, when he separates them, he walks into the brain chop one, and that's the end of the segment. Okay, I'm all for Fandango getting TV time, obviously, but I don't want to see Fandango against Great Khali ever again. As a matter of fact, why don't they just take the time? Take the time to get a heel. I don't care who this is. Get a heel to take Khali off television. Get a heel to take Hornswoggle off television. I don't want to see them on my television anymore, to be totally honest. Natty's fine. Natty can manage TJ when he comes back to the main roster. I think that's a great idea. And then you can feud, because Fandango and Tyson Kidd matches would be awesome. And then, of course, you do the mixed tags with Summer Rae and Natty, because you're still building on the Total Divas, and you're still sort of starting to show the fact that Summer Rae actually knows how to wrestle, which has been completely eliminated from any conversation WWE has had. When they've mentioned anything about Summer Rae on television, they don't mention anything about her NXT wrestling acumen. This is the first time it's even talked about. It's even discussed that she might be somebody who can actually fend for herself, and she's not just a damsel in distress. Or just a valet that doesn't really do anything but rake guys and interfere in those means. Interfere by using sex appeal, then I can't say brute force, but doing it. Oh, okay. Thank you, WWE Mobile, for tweeting me right now, or sending a message to my, So, breaking news, just as of this moment, I just got a text from WWE Mobile. Of course, all of you probably got this text. Curtis Axel, of course, unable to compete tonight against Biggie Langston. So, instead, they're going to be doing a match on the Hell in a Cell kickoff between Damien Sandow and Kofi Kingston. Which is funny because I just brought that up. I just brought up Sandow's going to be at the pay-per-view. And where's Damien Sandow? He's going to face Kofi Kingston in the opening match. So that's coming up. So in a couple hours, I will be recapping Kofi Kingston and Damian Sandow. So that's brand new, just on the wire as of 5:37 p.m. Eastern Time on October 27th. So, yeah, we got our main event, and oh my god, this match was awesome. But I really have to wonder why this was not saved for Survivor Series. We've been talking about Team Bryan versus Team Orton. Orton and the Shield against Bryan, and of course I put Goldust and Cody Rhodes, and my final guy was Dolph Ziggler, but obviously I'm not going to do that. This match originally announced at the beginning of the show. The Miz was a part of this match. When The Miz is taken out by the Wyatt family, Big E Langston, of all people, petitions Vicky Guerrero to make him the suitable replacement. So that's what we get. Our main event on SmackDown, The Shield and Randy Orton taking on Daniel Bryan, Cody Rhodes, Goldust, and Big E Langston. And what a match this was. And if you want anything out of this show, check this match out, and we're going to talk about it. So Rollins with chops on Big E Langston, and Big E, of course, not even phased. Kind of like, yep, stop swatting me. You're annoying. And bam! Catches him off the ropes with a belly-to-belly suplex. So tagging to Cody, whip in reverse into a tip-up, turned into a sunset flip by Cody, 1-2, and a kick out. Boot in, ducks the punch, and Rollins catches him with his flatliner in the middle turnbuckle. Tagging to Roman Reigns. So Roman comes in, whip in, charge in, and he gets the boot up. Hot tag to Daniel Bryan. Bryan comes in, dragon screw leg whip on Roman, and he goes to lock in his La Tapatia, but in this time he nails the scissors stomp instead. Hot tag into Big E Langston. 3 big shoulders in the corner, and the diving shoulder in the corner. Big E working over Roman Reigns. Tagging to Goldust. Goldust makes a cover, 1-2, and a kick out. Headbutt by Roman. Whips him in, and goes up top. Goldust nails him with a flying body press, 1-2, and a kick out. So, tagging to Cody and the Rhodes Warriors working together as a cohesive unit, given the fact they are our tag team champions after all. So, whip in reverse, Cody with a drop down and the uppercut. Single leg, 1-2, and a kick out. So, diving shoulder into the buckle and tagging to Dean Ambrose. Ambrose comes in and rakes the face against the top rope. Tagging to Randy Orton. Orton with 4 straight right hands to the top of the head. Boot in and a headbutt, whip in reverse, and a high knee from Cody Rhodes on Orton, 1-2, and Orton kicks out. So, front suplex, 1-2, and a kick out. So, well-placed stomp on 3 separate occasions by Cody Rhodes, really working over Orton at this point. Tagging to Goldust. Goldust comes in, 2 big right hands, makes a cover, 1-2, and a kick out. Tag back into Cody. Cody comes in with a right hand, drops Orton, 1 count only. So, he goes for the 10 punch. He gets caught this time. Orton picks him up with a front suplex and hangs him out to dry across the top rope. Big right hand knocks Cody off the ring apron to the floor, tagging to Ambrose. Ambrose comes in and nails the side Russian leg sweep into the barricade on Cody. Toss him back in, leaping stomp, and kicks away, makes a cover, 1-2, and a kick out. Tagging to Orton. Orton goes for his leaping knee drop. It misses out of the way. 10 punch on Randy Orton. It's caught when he slides out and nails the 3.0 backbreaker off the buckle on Cody, tagging to Roman Reigns. Roman comes in with a snap vertical suplex when we come back to live action, and tagging to Ambrose. Right hands in the corner, tagging to Seth Rollins, leaping stomp, and he gets countered with a jawbreaker. He slides to the legs, he gets stopped, dragged back into the heel corner, tagging to Ambrose. Ambrose comes in, charges in, catches the boot up, tagging to Roman Reigns. Roman gets drop kicked by Cody, tagging to Rollins. Rollins dives up the top, and a big right hand doubles over Seth Rollins, knocking him to the canvas, tagging to Goldust. 2 clotheslines, whip in reverse, drop uppercut from Goldust, and Roman Reigns tagged in blindly, back body drop, sends Seth Rollins to the canvas, and Roman mows over Goldust with a Superman clothesline, 1-2, and a kick out. Tag back to the United States Champion, 3 big shoulder blocks, tagging to Seth Rollins. Rollins comes in, pounding away, tagging to Randy Orton. He works over Goldust momentarily. Tag back into Roman Reigns as the heels have cut the ring off at this point. So, tags in Rollins, so quick tag, sets up the double team. They whip him in, and Goldust springs off the middle turnbuckle with a back elbow on the tag team champions. tagging Ambrose, hot tag to Daniel Bryan, ducks the clothesline, drop kicks Randy Orton off the apron, so he drop kicks Seth Rollins off the apron, drop kicks Roman Reigns off the apron, whip in, reverse, backflip, ducks the clothesline from Ambrose, and nails the tope, sending Randy Orton hard into the barricade, whips Ambrose into the barricade when he tries to interfere, tosses him back in, nails the missile drop kick, the yes kicks, and the buzzsaw does connect this time, going for the S-lock, and Roman Reigns makes the save on Dean Ambrose. Big E Langston mows him over with a Vader attack. Rollins comes off the top rope, gets caught in the fall-away slam position, picked up, going for the big ending, and he slides down the back, and he drop kicks him in the back, sending him through the middle rope to the floor. Cody nails a beautiful disaster. He climbs up top. He nails a plancha on the tag team champions on the floor. Charging drop kick on Ambrose by Bryan. He goes to the opposite corner, goes for the charging drop kick again, and he gets out of the way, does Ambrose, tagging to Randy Orton. Orton comes in, plants Bryan with a snakebite DDT, starts pounding the mat like the idiot he is, and he goes for the RKO. Big E Langston from behind, he catches it, goes for the RKO on him, pushes him off into the fire-breathing knee, 1, 2, 3, and Daniel Bryan gets a clean victory over Randy Orton as we go into Hell in a Cell tonight. Okay, so we have a victory from the babyfaces with Orton losing clean to Bryan. Uh-oh. Wrestling logic usually says that means that Orton is over tonight. I don't know if they're going to go with that. It's a slow build, and with this it's been a slow build, but when it comes down to it, everyone wants to see Bryan finally go over. He wants to see Orton get his comeuppance, and what's best for business fall flat on their face. And that's what's going to end up happening tonight. That's what everyone wants to happen tonight. I'm not sure if it's going to happen tonight. If you want to give Daniel Bryan the WrestleMania moment, you have Daniel Bryan lose tonight. Whatever way. Still loses tonight. I have a way to do it, to be totally honest, and I'm going to talk about it in a minute. Actually, I'm going to talk about a couple of scenarios I would do in this match. Either way, we lead to a new champion, regardless how you look at it. And we don't have any heel turns, we don't have any face turns, nothing like that. It'll stay everything as is. But, I'll get to that in a minute. So, what you do is you have Orton and Big Show feud over the rest of the year. Oops, I gave away the storyline. And Bryan still can't get a match. And they basically say that the only way Bryan is going to be able to get another WWE Championship match is if he can win the Royal Rumble. And as a matter of fact, he's going to start out number 1, just to make it completely difficult on him. And they're going to make sure that Bryan's life is a living hell from now until then. And that's what you do in this situation. So, hold on. As I'm trying to plug this in, because apparently it decided it wanted to die on me in the middle of the video. So yeah, this is what happens when you do over hour-long videos, folks. You get stuff like this that happens. So in order to not turn this video off and not do a part 2, I'm going to cover you up for a second. Hi, I'm back. So, that's what you gotta do. You gotta build this, and build this. Bryan goes through everyone, wins the Rumble from 1. We get a huge moment. He goes to WrestleMania. He beats the WWE Champion, whomever that is, and Bryan wins the title. That's the first scenario. Okay. Second scenario, Randy Orton wins tonight. How does Randy Orton win tonight? Well, it's pretty simple. So, we go to the finish of the match. We go back and forth the whole time. There's blood. I would say it's easy to bet there's going to be double blood in this match, to be totally honest. We're going to see some juice in this match, easily. You have Bryan go for the fire-breathing knee on Orton. He nails Shawn Michaels instead. Shawn is down and out. Bryan and Orton battle. Triple H gets in the ring, and he tries to make the what's best for business, and he pedigrees Bryan, and of course the Big Show's music hits. And he gets off. Him and Orton go towards the cage like they're going to attack. And there's no one at the ramp. The Big Show's music just went off. And they're like, what's going on? Where is he? He comes out from under the ring. Big Show takes the knockout punch, nails Triple H. So Triple H is down and out. And he's out. Fans are happy. Big Show leaves. Orton and Bryan are both down. And, of course, they continue to go back and forth. And I would say you build towards Triple H ended up screwing Daniel Bryan again, but Shawn Michaels gets back to his feet, sees that Bryan's the one that hit him, thinks he did it on purpose. He super kicks Bryan, RKO, 1, 2, 3. Not what I would do. You have to have Bryan win tonight. Okay, I'll say right now, if Brie wins earlier on in the show, Bryan will win tonight. You will get the moment at the end of Hell in a Cell with Brie and Bryan in the middle of the ring embracing with both championships on their respective shoulders. I'm pretty sure that's how we go home tonight. But there's so many ways you can do it. You have the Big Show. He's an X Factor. Shawn Michaels is an X Factor. This isn't turning Shawn heel. He's just doing what he was forced to do. And, I mean, of course, don't forget he super kicked both Triple H and The Undertaker before. So this could happen. I think he could hit both of them, to be totally honest. So there's a lot of different directions you could go. So we'll see what happens in about 2 hours from now. So hopefully I get this video up before the pay-per-view starts. I'm going to try. Pay-per-view predictions. A lot of people think that John Cena's beating Del Rio tonight. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Cena wins tonight. I don't think he wins the title. And then I think Sandow cashes in on Del Rio after the match is over, because Cena's going to end up hit the AA and lay him out, and then Sandow comes in and cashes in. Here's a problem with this. You're building this match with him and Kofi at the beginning of the show, so it's kind of hard to do it that way. So I may completely just eliminate this idea. They say there wouldn't be a cash-in tonight, and I can see it going either way. There wouldn't be a cash-in tonight, but there will be, and there will not be a title changing hands. There will not be a new world heavyweight champion. So, I mean, but then again, you could go with a safe bet that Cena, of course, is going to come in and beat Del Rio, and then forget about Sandow's Money in the Bank for the time being. Los Matadores over Real Americans. I don't want that to happen, but I'm sure it will. I think you'd look into this with maybe if Kofi beats Sandow, Sandow may show up again before the night's over. If Sandow beats Kofi, I still think he could show up for the night's over. But, I mean, there's a lot of different directions you can go with this. Cody and Goldust retain. Obviously, there's no reason to take the titles off of them yet, unless you're going to completely screw everyone over tonight, and that could happen. I think Ryback and Heyman are over Punk, and the reason I think that is I think that Ryback's not going to be able to get the job done. And I think that we're going to see, Punk could win this match and get ready to face off with Paul Heyman once and for all, and a new Paul Heyman guy can hit the ring and mow Punk over and leave him laying. Yes, if this is anything, I would say that this may lead towards... I said earlier that we're going to do this with a new Heyman guy helped Curtis Axel win, and that happened with Ryback. I think it could happen again. I think this time we see the WWE return of Matt Morgan tonight at Hell in a Cell. I may be completely wrong on this, but if it happens, then you heard it here first. So it could go either way. I know everything's going to continue, so I mean, you can't have Punk win yet. So Ryback goes over tonight, avenging his loss at last month's pay-per-view. So that's what you can do in this case. So I think that's everything. Brie is over on AJ. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. Regardless what the reason is, doesn't matter. I think if you have Brie win tonight, I'm pretty sure Bryan's going to win. If you have Brie lose tonight, I think that Orton's winning. So I think if you really put it in your mind that the finish of the Brie AJ match could directly impact the WWE Championship match, that's probably a good idea, to be totally honest. So we'll see what happens. So we've got 2 hours for the pay-per-view, so that's the recap. A little disjointed at the end, sorry, it's been a long day, so hopefully it wasn't messed up. Wrestling fans, you will join me again tomorrow when we're going to be talking Hell in a Cell. I will be recapping it tonight and putting it up on the channel tomorrow. Of course, we're going to talk Raw on Tuesday morning / Monday night. And other wrestling this week, of course, we're going to be talking Impact later this week. And we're going back to NXT and Smackdown next weekend. And Hopefully you guys that are enjoying other content other than the wrestling content on here have enjoyed all the movie content you've had over the week. You had the movie reviews of Bad Grandpa and The Counselor. You had 2 big verses. One was the Rocky Horror Picture Show against Little Shop of Horrors, and the one that was posted earlier today, finally, it took forever to post. It's about an hour and 40 minutes, the longest verses we've ever done, Friday the 13th against The Nightmare on Elm Street, and of course, I made the comment at the end of that video that we're going to continue the scary theme verses, and the cryptic comment for next Sunday is going to be Anthology. So there's always that. So hopefully you like this video. Hopefully it's not just a big jumbled mess, which it could be. And hopefully you guys and girls who are out there will continue to watch these videos. In the meantime, if you like these videos, tell your friends about them, leave a comment, do subscribe, and if you want to help spread the word about the Popcaster Revolution, give your comments, thoughts, and opinions to 3 different ways. First meaning, you can do it on Twitter. You can find me and tweet me. It's at Sir Owen Disney. If you want to find me on Facebook, it's Owen Disney. And if you want to send me a good old-fashioned email, you're more than welcome to. It's SirOwenDisney@gmail.com. In the meantime, thank you guys and girls out there for watching. If you watch it tonight, do enjoy Hell in a Cell, and I will be talking that tomorrow. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.